start coming out here.
That sounds like part of the doors that have to be
So thank you everybody for coming. Just to make sure you're in the right talk, this is Mark, I am Damien, and this is managing your MSSP. We will say MSP just because it's easier than MSSP, say that 10 times fast. And what that means is actually managing your expectations. So why do a talk like this? We want to make MSSPs great again. Okay? So we're going to make them huge. But seriously, we want MSSPs to be great partners of ours, and we think that they're an extension of our security teams, and we want to show you how to make them great extensions to yours. So we have a disclaimer here, and we just want to point out that any events, companies, or people portrayed in this presentation are purely fictional. Any similarity to real events, companies, or people is purely coincidental. The opinions presented are owned by the presenters and do not represent current or former employers. And if you see an event that looks like something Mark or I did, we'd appreciate it if you don't point that out.
Yes. So I had a little bit of a follow-up. We're not here to point fingers at anyone. You know, a lot of people were nervous about us doing this talk. We're not going to call anyone out. We're not going to point fingers at any individuals or any company. We're just here to help move things along and maybe make the industry better. We were asked to put the disclaimer there. We'll say that. So I think I meant to introduce myself. My name is Mark Myers. I've worked exclusively in cybersecurity for the past 10 plus years. As like many of you, I started in endpoints. I kind of worked my way over to server administration. From there, I went to networking, and finally ended up in cybersecurity. My current position, I perform security engineering, incident response, pen testing, and vendor management services.
Damien Adams. I got my start in the United States Marine Corps, and I've been out for a lot of years, and since doing that, I've had a lot of different jobs in different industries, all computer related, definitely dwelling in security. If you like my resume after, I definitely don't mind helping share my experience for the right price. So, one of the other things, what I currently do is I'm a team lead for analysts and engineers in my current role. Yeah, you're ready.
I'm ready.
Reasons to partner with an MSSP. One of the first reasons is the lack of skilled workers. If you've seen any type of reports, you see, ISC Squared and many other organizations are constantly telling you there is a lack of skilled workers. Mark and I can attest to this. We've interviewed a lot of people. It is hard to find people to fill our positions. So having an MSSP that you can go to that has skilled people is one of the reasons that people reach out. Another is compliance. PCI compliance, you have to have logs of your security tools, you have to be looking at them. Nobody has time for that. So you hire somebody else to do it for you and tell you when bad things happen. Building a security program is another reason to partner with an MSSP. Building a security program is still happening today. People are just starting out, believe it or not. But they're also revamping programs as well. So having a company come in and lend you some expertise can definitely help you out. Also to save money. Renting skills rather than paying for skills, you're going to save money in the long run. You can ramp up easily, quickly, and then you can ramp down. Once those skills are no longer necessary, you don't have to keep paying them for their expertise.
So there are a couple of reasons more to partner with an MSP, and that's, like Damien said, supplemental for projects. You have someone for a short time, you can pay them to come in, they have the expertise to do the task in front of them, and then they're out the door. For me, the part that I enjoy most is filling gaps in coverage. I don't know about you guys, but I like working 8 to 5. I don't like 14-hour days and working weekends. I like handing that responsibility off to my MSP and letting those guys cover that shit.
Definitely, you can also, if you have a new product that you're implementing, professional services will come in, they'll get it put in the network for you and put in place. but they may not help you manage it day to day. And so the MSSP can definitely help with that.
And the third one there, we're kind of just circling back to the top. We're filling skills gaps. That, as Damien stated, we have trouble hiring skilled workers.
Yeah. One thing that we forgot to mention, there's going to be a couple dead horses in this presentation, and we're going to continue to kick them. And we just want to get the point across. So you'll see us come back and revisit topics again. So let's start with expectations. As a customer, here are your expectations of an MSP. Expertise with a product. Sales guy will tell you that any product that you choose, they have someone who is an expert in it. And everybody who's worked in MSSP cannot know. So not always the case, but that's what they will tell you. Business knowledge specific to your company and industry. We have many customers in that field who work with those products that do those types of things. They have experts that will tell you what the latest trends are. They can reference other customers to help you, what's going on in my industry, things like that. They will understand the intricacies of your network. This is an expectation that customers actually have, that they're going to know about those boxes that you have in the closet that are very sensitive, that can't be touched, that need to be watched specially, because they just know those things. And timely responses to questions and requests. Absolutely. MSPs, they will always get back to you. They're your number one, you are their number one customer.
So I guess I could be the bad guy of the presentation. You want to diminish your expectations. And that goes on both sides. In the beginning, you're in what's called the onboarding phase or the enrolling phase. You're going to see those folks time and time again. You're going to call them on the phone every day. They're going to talk to you 3 or 4 times a day. They're going to have meetings with you. You're going to exchange a large amount of information. That's the beginning. That's the honeymoon. You're going to move from there and you're going to move into a maintenance phase. All of that activity is going to stop. And at that point, the projects that you have going with your MSP will slow down. It just happens. It's not intentional. It's not intentional on either side. It just happens because you have moved from honeymoon to another line or list on a project board that those guys have. They have many customers, and you're just one of them. Your project, it may be one of 100 that they have on a board. So you have to build in that expectation that things that you want done are going to take far longer than you expect. So as a customer, from the MSP perspective, you're never going to provide enough information to those guys. And it's not your fault, it's not their fault. It just happens. You have 2 totally different perspectives. You walk in each day, you have a manager staring you in the face. Where's this project at? Give me this update. How are we doing? Move forward. The MSP guys, they don't. It goes back to that board. You are one of many customers, and if you're not the squeaky wheel on that board, you're going to get left behind. You have to stay in constant contact with those guys to keep your projects moving forward. So, how do you keep those projects moving forward? Communication. Communication is the key to correcting your expectations. To correct those expectations, you communicate. When you hire an MSP, it's not just hand those guys the keys and walk away. You can't do that. They have to be managed just like any other resource that you have internally. The only difference is you're not going to see them every day. You're not going to know what they're doing. You're not going to know if they're performing the tasks that you ask. You're not going to know if on your next call they have just done, I don't know, an hour's worth of work to make it appear like they are working on your project. Don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing MSPs. It's just something that happens. They're very, very busy. So from that perspective, we have different goals. The MSP's goal is to partner with you, provide you services, and to make money. Your goal as a customer is to secure your environment. Not necessarily the same goals. So you have to come to a place where you can win-win with both of you. Your MSP has to be able to win, and you have to be able to secure your environment as a customer. That can be done if you correct your communication. Like I said, once you enter into that maintenance phase where things fall down, get back in touch with your MSP. Call those guys. Ask them for new meetings. I want status updates daily. I want more than just a weekly call. I want an every 3-day call. Just appear out of the blue at their office. That gets their attention. They will help you more and more if you are the squeaky wheel on that board. So this is the difficult side of it, and from the MSP perspective. Sometimes from that side, you do not get the information that you need from your customer. Your customer is asking you to do things that they may not be providing you the information to be able to do. That is where you have to have a strong MSP that will stand up to the customer and say, hey, look, we're not communicating well. We need to get back on track. We need to have more meetings. You have got to provide us with more information so that we can perform the tasks that you're asking us to perform. So I'm kind of pointing out that your MSP is not a kicking post for you. It's not a place to throw things, expect that they be done, and you never follow up on it. They have to be managed like anyone else, and you have to build that communication to build a partnership.
Yeah, and we'll keep going back to partnership because that's really what it is. Now this quote, if you look this up on the internet, there's some discrepancy over who said it, but I will say the quote itself is what's important. And the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that has taken place. Now the point of this is just because you send an email to someone does not mean that they've read it. So you need to make sure that you're following up, that you're getting a response that, yes, we've seen it, yes, we've shared it with the team, that make sure it's gone all the way down, because even if someone over there has seen it, has it trickled down all the way? So if it's something that's important to you, you need to make sure that the MSP knows how important it is. So make sure that you have that communication going. One of the other problems with communication is global responses. Now, this drives me crazy. It drives a bunch of us crazy because for a couple of reasons. To start with, sending me alerts about an ATM attack in Brazil because I'm a financial company is not necessarily relevant to me, especially if I don't have ATMs. Maybe I'm just an investment firm. So having that kind of information just wastes my time, and you're not targeting the information to me directly. The same thing goes if they're managing, say, a SIM for you, if they have rules that are globally applied. All of our customers have this. Well, but all of your customers don't do what I do. So global responses are a problem. There's something that you need to work with your MSP on to get rid of those. Another problem that can happen is confusion with communication. So this can really hurt you. So if you say I have a change window that starts at midnight on Sunday, but the person on the other end at the MSP hears midnight on Monday.
Not at the MSP, I have done this before.
That can be a problem, right? So you need to make sure that you're very clear that there is not confusion. So if you do a change, if you're expecting it to happen at one time and it happens at a different time, that can impact your business. And you really have to look at where the fault lies with that. Did you communicate it properly? Do you have the right time zone? And again, that goes back and forth both ways. The person making the change should verify, but you should also be very clear in what you're asking them to do and when. The other thing that sometimes you will get is silence. You will send an email, you will leave phone messages, you're looking for a status update, and you hear nothing back. This is a problem. This is something you need to address with the MSP. Don't just let it go. You need to follow up with them. Make sure they understand that if you're calling them about something, you do need a response back. So,
Back to staffing issues. I'll let Damien run with this.
yeah, so the staffing issues, like we talked about before, there is a shortage of skilled workers. That's not just for you. MSPs, they staff people for 24/7, 365. That takes a different type of person to do that. Usually you have people that are hungry to get into security. You have people that are building skills. So you have to understand what's going to be on the other side of that console, and you don't get to interview them. So you have to trust that the MSP has hired someone who is competent in what you're asking them to do. It doesn't always happen. There are some great people, and I won't point to anybody in this room, that work at MSPs or have worked there. Many of them build their skills and move on, though. And you have to understand that there are going to be people that are not going to do the best job for you. And you have to point that out. So you don't always get what you pay for. And again, that's something that you have to take up with the MSP. You have to let them know if you're not happy with the response you're getting, the analysis you're getting, the changes that are being made.
So, once again, I'm the bad guy. I'm going to steal your ice cream here for a second. So, trust. And just two questions. Should you trust your MSP? Fully? Blind?
Trust
No.
with Gerard.
I think Gerard hit on it. That's my second question. Should the MSPs trust what they're doing from the customer? You can't. And Gerard, you stole my next bullet point here. The answer is no. You can't. You have to trust. Well, you're fine. You have to trust, but verify what is being handed to you. You are going to see bad recommendations again and again, and it's not just from the MSP. You're going to see them from entry-level people in your organization. They're going to give you bad recommendations. You're going to see those same bad recommendations come from the MSP. So, in order to avoid this issue, what we've done, and Sean's not here, but I'm giving kudos. We have a guy in our current environment named Sean. Sean is our stopgap. Sean takes everybody that comes in, trains them to a certain standard before he releases them. And in that process, those guys are making recommendations. Sean also does this for the MSP. If a recommendation is sent from the MSP or internally, it has to go through Sean. Sean verifies what is there. He trusts what they're doing, but he also verifies it before he pushes the button. Because heaven forbid, you let a non-person push a button and you have taken the entire network down. We'll say that we've seen it, but... So, just go back to it. You can never fully trust either side. You have to trust but verify what's being told to you.
Yeah, the stop bothering me before we went. So the stop bothering me, we've seen this where someone will say, I don't want to hear about this anymore. These alerts are very bothersome, just turn them off. So from an MSP level, they have to make sure that that person's author has to tell them to turn that alert off. So, and we'll talk about escalation contacts and things like that, but again, it's a partnership. The trust goes both ways.
And that's where we hit on before. If the MSP encounters a situation like that, they have to, on their side, have the ability to escalate up to a senior person that says, hey, you know what, we are hired to protect our customer, and we gave them this recommendation, they are totally ignoring us. You have to kick that up to your senior guys who can then translate it back over to the senior guys on the customer side and say, hey, is this the right choice for you? And here's the reason why. You can't blindly walk in and say, we're going to do this and not have a reason behind it. You have to have logic and sound reasons for every decision that you make.
So now we get to what the what. So these are some of the things that we've seen because it's not always great. So sometimes we talk about this bad analysis and things like that. So if you were to tell me to block Yahoo, okay, or Google, or any other major web hosting provider because you did a 3-hour look around after a malware event from a file share and you saw a host going out there, and that might be bad malicious traffic, there's no credibility to that, and that you have to recognize. If you remember, not too far ago, there was a Grizzly Step, and Yahoo had a server that was identified as one of the CNC servers, and a small power company said, we've been hacked by the Russians, because somebody went to their Yahoo now. So just keep that in mind with some of these recommendations that you get. One of the other ones that you may be told, and there are canned responses, so you have to look at these and say, do they apply to my environment? Taking a host offline after a malicious event is pretty standard if it's malware, right? Take it off, do a forensic investigation. But if my web server gets touched by a botnet, a known botnet, they just came in, they looked at port 80 and they went away, that's not a valid reason to take it offline and do a forensic investigation on it. If you look at your firewall logs, you're probably going to see a whole lot more of that. They're probably TCP scanning the entire internet. So a lot of that happens these days. So you need to make sure that you're looking at that. LoJack, if you're not familiar with what that is, that's for tracking your laptops or if it's stolen. There's other products out there like that. and there's a hardware device in there. So when your machine comes online, it constantly pings out and says, here's where I am right now, and do you have any updates for me? So it's a beacon, but it's not malicious. So telling me that LoJack is beaconing out and this might be a problem, or anything else to do with that, well, I have that on all my computers in the organization. Why is this one different? So again, you have to look at the analysis you're getting. In this one, think about this from the context of making the phone call and receiving the phone call. So we fragged your database, and the backups haven't been actually working, and we didn't notice. And my shift's ending, so yeah, good luck. And so those are some of the responses that you may see with an MSSP. Hopefully you don't. And if you do, hopefully you have that partnership where you can address it with them.
Quickly.
Yes. Talking about things that keep you up. An inexperienced analyst on your side. So as a customer, when you get those canned responses from the MSP, they're going to tell you, take that host offline. They're going to tell you should quarantine things and make other types of changes. What you need to make sure, what keeps me up is when you have an analyst who takes that and doesn't do the verification like Mark talked about. That they just go through and say, oh, I'm going to take this host offline, and what that does to your network, how does it affect it? So that's one of the things that definitely can keep you up. An inexperienced analyst on their side, depending on what access you've given them, what they're managing for you, they could make a change. If there's a change going on or there's an upgrade going on, you may not be able to sleep while that's happening until you know that that upgrade's done completely. So even though you've hired them to help with you, so you don't have to stay up late at night or do 14-hour days, these things may still keep you up. And then what are you missing? What have you not asked the MSP to do? What have they not come to you and said, we need to do this? Those are the things that definitely keep me up and looking at. So you're constantly thinking, what else should we be looking at? Spend some time thinking about what else is out there in your environment that you need to do. So the reality of this slide is, Mark had a great yoga pose, and so we wanted to do a silhouette of it. And I could never possibly get into a yoga position, so that's about as close as I could get. But reaching MSSP Nirvana, it is possible. I won't say that we have ever achieved it yet, but we certainly strive for it. And it goes back to being a partnership. So when you're working with them, make sure you're getting what you need out of the relationship. Make sure that all the things that you need are taken care of, specific to your company. Again, don't accept globally. Are you giving them what they need? Have you provided them the tools to be successful? Make sure that you're asking those questions. Make sure you're having those questions answered. And change the things that you can. You do not have to accept that every customer does it like this as an answer. That is crazy, right? You can go back and say, that does not apply to me. You can ask the MSP to change. And a lot of times they will listen. They may say, we've never had anyone ask me this. And I'll tell you, that's one of the reasons Mark and I want to do this, because we're tired of hearing no one's ever asked us this. We want people to ask their MSPs to change. We want them to ask them to be better, to do more than just canned responses. Let's work on that partnership and become better together. Challenge them to do more for you, specific to your business.
So this one's kind of hits home to me. Intellectual property or intellectual processes. In the past, I've been a little offended because I've asked for things from MSPs and been told that it was not possible. I specifically laid out things that I wanted done and asked for, and those things were said, no, we don't do that, we can't do that. But come back a few weeks later, a few months later, and have that same intellectual property handed back to you as something that they now do. That I found it a little offensive on my side. It's just me. I was like, I came up with that, and we're going to share. But that's what we're hitting on here. You have to be willing to share your knowledge. you have to be willing to share your intellectual property with the MSP because you are in a partnership with that MSP. You have to come to the realization that whether you like it or not, that sales guy told you MSP can do X, MSP can't do X. So at that point, you have to have your senior staff step in and say, we can train you guys how to do this. And we will train you guys how to do that. It's just part of the request of doing business with an MSP. There's no choice in the matter. You have to do it. And there's a couple of reasons why. They may have a tool that, or you may have a tool that they've never seen before. They don't know exactly how it's working. They don't know how to set it up. So if you have that knowledge, you have to share it with the MSP. It may come down to the way that you have your tools configured, and you may have them configured that way for a reason. You may be protecting something that the MSP cannot see. So you must train those guys in that instance. You must go back and say, okay, put that pride, put that ego aside and say, we are in this for the long haul together. So in order to do that, you have to teach each other. You have to teach the MSP what you want them to do. You have to share the knowledge that you have in your head to move them forward. Because in the end, you're moving everybody forward. You're moving your business forward to being more secure. You're moving the MSP forward to be more forward-thinking in whatever they're doing. So it's the partnership that you have. You're working on, you're growing, you're teaching each other. It's not just a one-way thing.
So what do you need to provide? So there are some things as a customer you can provide MSPs to help make their job easier, to help them do better for you. So we'll start with cheat sheets. Any simple list of servers that are important to you, vulnerability scanners. If they are managing a SIM for you, they may already have that information. They may have set up whitelists for you, but point it out to them. If that stuff changes, give that back to them. Tell them who the admins in your organization are so that they can watch for access from those people. They can do other things with it, as well as network diagrams. These can be as basic as you feel comfortable giving them, but anything is better than nothing. For them to understand the piece of equipment that they are managing, where it sits on your network, what's in front of it, what's behind it, they will give you better responses. You can ask for better responses. Without that, they're just blind. They just have a console. They don't know what it does in your environment other than generate alerts, or they configure things on it. Subnet info is pretty standard. Most MSSPs will request that, and they provide it. Your DMZ, your guest wireless, things like that. Make sure they have points of contact, not just within your team, but if they need to escalate something, if they can't get a hold of anyone, who do they call? So if you want to have 3 to 4 layers of points of contact so that if there's something going on, they make sure that they can get the information out there. And the final thing is protection. And this is actually very serious, is do not badmouth your MSSP outside of your team. If you want to do it behind a closed door, you guys have a pure talk, you want to get the MSSP on the phone and you want to have at it with them, that is fine. But when you leave that room, the rest of the organization should not hear bad things. This is a partnership. They're an extension of your team. And when you go out there and say, man, these guys are horrible, they're doing a very bad job, things like that, you're saying that you're doing a bad job because you're working with them. And then they're not going to trust the information provided, and they're not going to trust you. And so it just eventually erodes that relationship. So you want to make sure that you're protecting them and taking care of them. And again, behind closed doors, you can have those conversations and be very frank with them. But other people, it's like a family. You can have brothers and sisters, you can pick on them yourselves, but nobody outside the family can.
And I'll extend that a little further. You have to protect your MSP from other people in your organization that will reach out to them and request things from them that you are not aware of. You have to be that funnel of contact between your relationship and the MSP. You can't have, say, the network team reach out and say, hey, you know what, we need to do this and we need to do it right now. That's part of the protection. Send all that communication to the security department so that you are fully aware of what's going on. And you protect those guys from making any mistakes that they're being told by a networking VP to do.
So what you need to ask for, and MSSPs may disagree with this, but I think it's an important point. Proof of knowledge. Now we talked about it. Sales guys will tell you they do everything. They have an expert in everything. But you as a customer, you want to trust but verify. So ask for customer references. Who else have you done this, managed this product for that I can talk to about it? Do you have proof of someone being trained on this? Do you have certifications that we can see that we know that we're putting qualified people, their hands on that keyboard? So again, that's a touchy thing. You may get pushback, but it's up to you how far you want to push that. Escalation contacts. Again, if you're having a problem with the person you're dealing with, whoever your account rep is, make sure you know who you can call when something's not getting answered in a timely fashion, or you have an emergency that really you need someone and no one's answering the phone. Don't be afraid to ask for replacements. This is a business. We are not worried about hurting people's feelings. They may get hurt, but you can go back to the MSSP and say, this person is not meeting my needs. I need them taken off my account, and I need someone else to fill that role. It's not a pleasant conversation. We don't like doing it, but you still have that right. You have that. You need to do that for your business. And finally, clear SLAs. Make sure that you're very clear as to what the response times will be for requests, for alerts, whatever it is they're managing for you. And there is a soft period where those SLAs are not really enforced, but make sure they know that you're watching them. Make sure that, hey, we're not going to start enforcing this for 2 months, 3 months until we get everything under our feet, but make sure they know when they go over that, so that you establish that clear communication that we are monitoring this.
Being realistic, and this goes back to training people, and it's not just a problem for the MSPs. The MSPs will hire novice people, because as we spoke of earlier, some people like me and others in the room, they don't want to work third shift. So they hire those novice people to come in and fill those positions, and over a period of time, those skills improve greatly. Because believe me, you want to learn a lot, work at MSP. You will learn tons. But therein lies the problem. You hire somebody at this novice level from the MSP, and then 6 months from now, 7 months from now, they're able to walk into an FTE site and say, I have these skills, I have this skill set, and I can prove it to you. And they're able to do that. And they go away from working that third shift. You have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared in your environment that you are going to repeat yourself time and time again. You are going to train 12 different people on the same thing. Hopefully, somewhere along that line, somebody documents it, and you can lessen down the training just a little bit, but it is going to happen. You will repeat yourself again and again and again. The third one there is prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen on both sides, everybody's sides. The way around that is, as we discussed earlier, you want that stopgap person, that senior person in the middle there. You have all these people making recommendations, but you got to have those senior folks that say, no, do not push that button. Because if you do, it's catastrophic to not only the MSP, but the customer itself. And as Damien said earlier, not everyone there is going to meet your expectations. Do not fear asking to have that person replaced or removed from your account. Doesn't mean that they're not going to work at the MSP anymore. Just means that they're not going to work your account anymore. There's some instances where you find instantly that you might have a conflict of interest with somebody on the other side. Security in Tampa is small. It happens. You know everybody. Conflicts of interest, not being able to be on some accounts, it's very common. It's not personal, it's business.
So now that you've reached Nirvana, is there any questions?
But there's certain people in the room that can't ask questions.
I'm wearing a red shirt.
He's wearing a red shirt.
No, seriously, certainly someone has to.
That would be, even since you guys come from that background, is the breakup process. When you're moving off of a provider, you're transitioning to another one, pulling things back in-house. Some pitfalls, caveats, things that make the process go smoother?
So one thing is to be upfront and honest with the relationship can sour quickly. It depends on the professionalism of your MSSP. I could say I've personally seen that, and we definitely noticed a drop off in the responses we got. So you have to understand too that they're not going to be as willing. They're no longer trying to court you as a customer. You've made a decision. But you, depending on your contracts, make sure you're getting everything that you asked for. Again, if you've already been hammering the SLAs, it's important to hold them to it even through that transition period. If you have logs that they are hosting for you, make sure that if it's in your contract that you get those, make sure you get them in a format that you can read and look at it before the contract ends. And make sure it goes all the way to the end of the contract. So if the contract terminates on the 31st of December, midnight, actually on the 1st of January, make sure you get your logs all the way to the 1st of January.
Add something in your asks, when you said ask for knowledge, proof of knowledge. If they say they're SOC 2 compliant or SSAE 16 compliant, ask for the documentation. I had an MSP this about 4 months ago. Tell me he was. He's got everything done. And I went to check on it. He wasn't. And I had to shut the whole thing down.
And that's important. Trust but verify.
Because at the end of the day, you can transfer the work to the MSP, but you cannot transfer the liability. And you can insure it, so it's fiscally not your problem, but you will still go to jail for the breach. So and be careful with
reputation loss as well.
Sure.
So building on that question, proof of knowledge, what type of proof are you going to ask them for? I mean, are you going to ask them for certifications? Is that sufficient? I mean, how do you pursue that?
And that's up to you and what you need to see for certain people. So if they say, we have people that are certified and trained on this, you can ask to see, okay, are those people on my account? Have they gone to class? When did they go to class? Was it last week? Are they enrolled now? Or, have they been working with this? Customer references are a great source. If you're saying that you managed a WAF, then show me a customer that you managed a WAF at. Let me talk to them and make sure that, you actually are doing this for them in real environments.
So Damien and I differ a little bit on this, and those of you who know me know that I'm not a big fan of certifications. Certifications means that you can sit down and you can study and you can take a test. It does not mean that you have been in the trenches. It does not mean that you have seen that. It does not mean that you are going to completely fold when something goes wrong. When it goes left, you need what Riddle said. You need to check those guys, our gals. You don't have to have names, but you can ask for years of experience. How long have you been working with this? How long have they been doing this? Are they new at this? Should we release them into this environment? That's the kind of things you have to ask. It's just me personally. I'm a big fan of certifications.
Any other questions? Man, Richard.
So you guys asked, you said to make sure to have SLAs. One example you gave was response times. Is response time sufficient enough for SLAs, and what other types of things should you hold them accountable to?
Me personally, I think you should hold the MSP's feet to the fire whenever you deal with them. And it goes back to maybe time on our side. Most of us, as we touched on, are short-staffed. There's just not enough of us, and that's a problem. It's the reason why we reach out to MSP. Because of that staffing need. But you can go with the SLAs, but I think that you need someone on your side that's watching. You can watch, you can see that fire start, and you can put it out before it gets out of hand. There have been instances in the past where a Locky that's in an environment. Internal resources see it, SLA has missed, internal resource took care of it, SLA is still going on, nothing from the MSP. So if you had waited for a failed SLA that you might have a financial penalty for, you're going to have a much greater problem on the other side. Because Locky, you just got out of your data.
Yeah, absolutely. SLAs are just one measurement tool, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, If your entire environment is encrypted and the MSSP calls you within that hour or whatever to tell you that's happening, your environment's still encrypted. So, it's not the end-all be-all, but it is a measuring tool that you can help to work with them to make sure that they're on point in your environment often enough to find that stuff. Any other questions? Thank you all for coming. Hope you enjoyed it.